This podcast is brought to you in part by P&P Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or at one of their 3 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alrighty, everybody, and welcome to the Touch of Gaming podcast. This is episode number 172. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison, and joining me, Jared, laughing at all the mistakes and button pushings that I did wrong, Schultz. Jared, how the heck's it going, man? It's been a while.
It has been a while. Things are good. I'm tired, but you know that happens when you have a 2-month-old baby. So
that's what I hear. I've been through that, but it's so long ago that I don't remember.
Good. I'm glad that I will forget about this period at some point.
You will. You'll think I want another little kid, and every other part of your body is like no, but your brain's like yeah, I kind of want another little baby. You do forget about it pretty quick.
Yeah, how are you doing, Lloyd? How's your vacation?
I'm doing good, man. I was at the lake for an entire week's whole 7 days of doing nothing but relaxing, swimming, suntanning, eating my body's weight in food. It was a great and well-needed time. I needed some time off work. Things have just been absolutely ridiculous, busy. So it was well needed. I'm 4 days, or actually 3 days back, because I wasn't at work on Monday, and I'm already wound up in stress. So I've undone my vacation, which is a little bit of a shame, but it is what it is. How about you, man? How you been besides sleeping on a couch and having a little one? You've been doing lots of fun stuff.
We've had a pretty good summer. Yeah. I'm finally getting ready to go on vacation here in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Haven't really been able to make it away yet, mainly because of a newborn. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And my kids are young enough that we don't care about school schedules, so we often take our vacations right after kids all go back into school because then places are empty.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's nothing to get in your way except other people in the same boat as you, and there's fewer of those than people that have kids that are in school.
You got it. So I often early September, that's my vacation time because
that's awesome.
I work through the summer so that all my coworkers can take their time off, and I figure I can do that for them until my son gets into school in a few years.
You're a team player, Jared.
That's what it is.
Awesome. Well, what do you say we get into the show?
Oh yeah, we're doing a show.
We are doing a show. It's been a while. Let us know what you think of the show. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. Click contact us at the top of the page, or send us an email, vgpodcast@gmail.com. Call our voicemail line, area code 505-VG-PODCASTS. I just thought I'd put it here just in case you don't make it to the end of the show after our reviews. So I wanted to let you guys know how to contact us. Got a lot of stuff going on at vgpodcast.com. We got a couple new shows that I'm not even hosting. One of them, Geek and a Troll, which is a really fun show where 2 guys, one becomes the geek, the other one becomes the troll about a specific topic, and they argue it out to try to convince each other that the thing is either really awesome or it really sucks. So do check that out over at vgpodcast.com. A Geek and a Troll podcast, and of course D-Res is going strong. And DisneyInfinity.tv is still going really strong as well. It's another site that I'm running with 2 other partners, and it's kicking some butt. Disney Infinity 2.0 is coming soon, and we're doing some amazing things. So check out what we're doing over at DisneyInfinity.tv, including all of the various podcasts and video shows that we do over there, with a whole pile more coming out. So really exciting time in podcast land, man. It's been a heck of a lot of fun. I got to do Backdrop. I got all this new swag and geekery beside me, or behind me rather. It's been relaxing. It's been really good. I'm really digging it.
Cool.
Well, let's since I faked you out, as you said in the chat room, let's get right into it. Jared, what have you been playing? And I know you've been playing everything, so let's keep it to 47 minutes.
Hey man, we haven't talked in a while, and actually, I've been playing quite a bit, especially since I have a 2-month-old son, and so it's oftentimes that I'm holding him and I'm able to fire something up on the my little iPod. So I will go kind of quickly through these, but hopefully I'll do enough that you can get a taste of them.
Cool.
So first of all, out there is an FTL clone.
Heard about that. Is it a good clone though?
It's interesting. It's insanely hard.
Mm.
Like FTL, I know was hard, but I felt like it was doable. Out there, you know, it's similar in that you're a spaceship. You're trying to get home. You're having to do these little jumps, and slowly you're able to upgrade ship. There is some differences. You have to constantly worry about your fuel. You have to worry about your oxygen. You have to worry about your hull. And in order to replenish these, you have to mine or probe planets. You can slowly get, or occasionally you'll come across things that allow you to get better ships, but it's all randomly generated. So sometimes, even if you, after you've been playing a while, you'll go and you'll make it a run and you will die like in the first galaxy because, you know, you go and try and collect something and all of a sudden you get hit by a comet storm and you're like, well, that was fun. And you're starting over again. So it is extremely hard, but there's not quite as much combat in it as there was in FTL. It's more focused just around the journey of trying to get back home. And I played it for a few hours, and I got so frustrated with it I couldn't keep playing it. I just was not making a lot of progress. I think about the farthest I ever got towards getting home was like a third of the way or something like that.
Oh no!
And I mean, maybe if I were to read a strategy guide or something on it, or if somebody has written that, so that, you know, maybe then I would enjoy it more because I could get further and I would understand when I should mine and when I shouldn't mine and all that. But you also have to, you can get upgraded like everything in your ship, but you have to find blueprints for it first. And then once you find the blueprints for it, you have to find like the right metals and stuff like that. And oftentimes you won't have the right metals to build whatever the new blueprint you got, and you have no, well, you do have a way of knowing it, but you have to have like good sensors and stuff, and all of this takes up room on your ship. So it's really difficult. It's very interesting, good game, but it's very difficult. So if that type of game is just something you absolutely love, you should check this out. Otherwise, this one just might be too tough, over the edge. Okay, so the second one is a game called Manhattan Project. And anyone who listens to the show knows that I love board games, and Manhattan Project was originally a board game. And Manhattan Project, they brought out a Kickstarter for it, and I think this was last fall. I'm not sure on that, though. And it failed. And the Kickstarter, they said, you know, even though we failed on the Kickstarter, we still really want to bring this out to mobile devices. So it's now out on both Android and iOS. It's $7. And they said, even though it failed, we really still want to bring it out. However, we won't be able to basically quit our jobs and work on implementing all these features. And instead, we're going to, you know, just work on it on nights and weekends and when we have time, since we didn't get this funding round for it.
Sure.
So it came out. And if you know how to play the game, it's very true to the game. It has the same features. So basically, the game is a worker placement game where you have workers and you place them on the board in order to get specific benefits. This one has a really interesting piece where you can build. You can go and build the buildings, but you can also build other little guys down in, or you can build other buildings. And unfortunately, some of the other nicer implementations and things that would have really made this a great game are not there. But I feel terrible about judging it harshly because, you know, they tried to make it that type of a thing, but weren't able to get the funding in Kickstarter. So I'm really worried that they're going to bring this out. A smattering of people will buy it. And even if they do get enough that they can then go ahead and produce the full game, it'll be too late. They will have missed the opportunity. Right. I'm not really sure about that. It doesn't have some of the save game stuff that you would expect. and so you kind of have to play through, and it's kind of a little bit longer game. Even on the iOS implementation, I think it takes about 30 to 40 minutes to knock out. There's no like asynchronous play, which is something that on most board games is pretty much required. Um, it's okay. If you know how to play the game, and I do own the actual physical board game, and I enjoy playing it here because it allows me to get it out a little more often. And also you can play pass and play on it, and it works pretty well.
Sure.
The AI is kind of stupid. They make dumb moves, and they don't. Anyway, it's a great game. It's fun, and the entire theme of the game is you're like different nations, and you're trying to build up a nuclear arsenal. So it's like a nuclear arms race, which is just kind of a really unique theme that you don't really see. And there's no actual nuclear weapons. Well, I mean, you can test bombs, but you don't actually fire them against each other or anything. But it's just an interesting, cool worker placement economic game. And unfortunately, the app implementation is not as good as it could have been. So proceed cautiously on that one. Next is a game called Star Realms, which is kind of funny that I put it right next to Manhattan Project, because this is another board and card game that has an iOS implementation. So Star Realms is a game that it was actually put together by a guy who made another game called Ascension, and another guy who was a Magic the Gathering champion. And it has just been the hit of a whole bunch of different board gaming conventions. I know Origins, everyone was talking about it, which again, this is not a board gaming podcast, but sometimes I let things slip. But it's a small little deck builder game that is like $15 and to play between two players. And deck building means that you start with a very basic hand of cards, and then you go through and you buy other cards. In this one, there's two currencies. So the first currency is gold, so that you can buy better ships. So you buy a ship, you throw it in your discard pile. After you've drawn through your deck, you shuffle all your discard pile, and you start again. And each time you go through your deck, it gets better, because you're able to get rid of some of the cards that you didn't like and put in stronger cards. And the second currency is attack or military strength, which you attack your opponent with, kind of Magic style. So your opponent starts with 50 authority, and you work down their authority. So this one's really cool because it's free. So if you want to check this game out and you're interested in it, like I said, it's free, and what they give you for that free is they basically allow you to play a single-player campaign on like a normal mode. Then if you like it, you can pay $5, and they just have a one-time unlock for everything, and it allows a higher level of AI difficulty. It allows a second campaign, and it also allows asynchronous multiplayer. So I have played a lot of games asynchronous multiplayer because this game plays really fast. So if you and I were to sit down and play on the iOS or on Android, because it is on both, and you and I were just to focus on the game, we could probably get through a game in like 10 minutes.
Sure.
And it's really fun. It gives you that tactical feeling. There's 4 different factions in it. Every one of the factions feel different. Like one of the factions allows you to draw extra cards. One of the factions gives you lots of extra life. One of the factions allows you to kill cards that you don't like. And one of the factions just attacks really hard. And I kind of am a little concerned to go look at how many games I've played. So to be completely transparent here, I ended up buying this on Android because it got delayed on coming out on iOS, and I was interested in playing it. So I've actually been playing it about a month now, and it finally came out on iOS like a week and a half ago. And I have 226 games logged.
Oh, wow.
So it's fun because I'll be playing. I usually play 4 or 5 games at a time, and I just hit next and play my next turn and next, and I can whip through turns so fast, and you can play it when you're rocking a baby to sleep, and all sorts of other times. So it's really an interesting deck builder. There are a couple of little things that are kind of difficult, like you can't read the text unless you magnify the card. However, the cards magnify pretty easily. Occasionally, I do things that I don't want to do, but it's pretty rare. Um, so I think that it's worth checking out if you're interested in all in this type, especially since it is free. And then if you like it, you can go ahead and pay the full unlock. If you do pay the full unlock, feel free to start a game with me. I'm Quacko. Imagine that. So I need to move on though because I've been talking too long. Next game I'm going to talk about is a game called Clark. So Clark, the history on this one.
CLARC.
Oh yeah, it's totally not the way you expected to spell it. CLARC is a very interesting game. Do you remember the old like Sakobans?
Yep.
Where you're like pushing blocks?
Yep.
It has a little bit of that, but it has like this whole story to it, and then it does enough interesting things like lasers and stuff like that. And the game originally came out on the Ouya. And it was one of the two reasons why everyone said, the two must-have games on the Ouya were Towerfall and Clark. So I picked it up on a sale or something like that, and it's kind of been sitting on my device for a while. But I went and actually started playing it, and this game's really, really good. So it does have the Sakoban style where you're pushing blocks around in order to solve puzzles. Maybe you're trying to... but it has this whole like good puzzle aspect to it because there's lasers, and sometimes you have to make the lasers hit specific spots, and sometimes there's like a void, and you can like, because your guy can hold blocks, he like just has to carry the block over the void, and it just has that really, that high quality puzzle feeling when you complete a puzzle and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a genius. Yep. Like it gives you that, and there's not a lot of games that do that. I know. Portal 2 is kind of my all-time favorite of those. You finish one of those levels and you're just like, man, I'm so smart. I was able to get that one. And this game is one of the first games in a long time that I've felt that way, where I'm just like, yes, this is great. I'm about halfway through it. There's not a ton of levels. I think there's something like 30. However, don't be too scared by that because each level does take a few minutes. I know that if you already know what to do, you can probably do most levels in 2 minutes or so. But to be honest, there's some levels that take me 5 minutes, some levels that take me 10 minutes. And so when you think about it that way, it is a decent value for your money.
It also has a really great cell-shaded art style. It looks like Borderlands in that regard, like high resolution cell-shaded. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a cool art style. There's a funky story going on. They actually, on a simple game like that, you're kind of surprised they're able to put in a story. But, I don't want to spoil anything, but you fall in love with the bomb, which is great.
Nice.
Go figure out what happens. I am not finished with this. I'm about 2/3 of the way through, so I would expect, hopefully, I will be able to review it shortly. I would say that the early responses, though, that this game is really good. Oh, nice! You're even flashing up the picture there. It's really good. So if this sounds at all interesting, if you like the puzzly games, I'm not sure what it costs. Maybe if you look really close, what does it cost?
$3.99.
$3.99. Yeah, good price. It's a high quality, and I'm enjoying it so far. And that's Clark with the C at the end.
Excellent.
So next game is Spellfall. Spellfall is the latest from Backflip Studios, who they seem to just be churning them out lately. And I started playing this, and I was like, oh, this is Puzzle Quest. This has the RPG, the Match 3, and it has kind of some interesting things where you get to, like, you can swap them from anywhere. Don't copy it too much yet. Spellfall, though, like I played through the first 2 like worlds, and then I was in the 3rd world, and all of a sudden there's like a massive difficulty spike, and I was like, oh well, this is the paywall. And so I was like, well, let me just go try and grind and see if I can get. So I went and did some grinding for a bit. I got a bunch of cash. I went and upgraded to this, this bomb weapon or bomb. I think it was actually a cloak. And I was still taking like the exact same amount of damage. And I was like, what is going on here? And So they always have this thing. Also, they have kind of a rotating store, and so every battle you beat, a new item comes available in the store, and then the oldest one goes away. And so it gets this really like pushy, like, are you sure you want to leave this behind? I'm like, yeah, I want to leave it behind. It sucks worse than what I have, but it still like annoys you about it every time. I can't recommend this one. It gets really, really aggressive on the in-app purchases. So, unfortunately, the successor to my Puzzle Quest addiction is still waiting out there somewhere one day.
One of the first reviews is beware, pay to play, pay to win. So yeah, I guess other people are saying that this game isn't anything that's that great, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought about throwing a couple bucks at it to try and see if it would help me, but as I just looked at it, it didn't look like it was going to be one of those where I can toss them a few bucks and feel good about supporting the developer and be able to play the game like I wanted to. The other crazy thing is if you take any damage at all, it takes real time to heal it.
Ugh.
So generally, you can get a healing rune, and if you use that healing rune to heal, then sometimes you can get through easy battles and still have enough life to go fight the next one, but oftentimes you won't, and so you'll have to play one battle and then wait for your guy to heal, and another battle and wait for your guy to heal. Especially
why would you want to play games on your portable device when you have time to play games? I mean, why would you want to do that? That's crazy speak, Jared.
It's just a shame. Next game, Guardians of the Galaxy. So I thought this game was gonna suck, and I kind of wanted to talk about it. Unfortunately, I have not yet seen the movie. It's been getting rave reviews.
Oh, you gotta go.
What's that?
You gotta go. It's really good.
I want to go. I just have not found the right opportunity yet. So, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the new Marvel series that they brought out the movie for, and this was released in conjunction with the movie. The gameplay plays very similar to the original Battleheart, not Battleheart 2 that just came out, but the original one. And in that, you have a team of 4 guys, and you go and you have to draw lines from your guys to the bad guys, and then you get Groot, who will heal you by drawing lines to your own guys. And you get guys with special powers and abilities, and they pop up in the upper left-hand corner, and you're able to touch them to do like extra damage when you're facing someone bad. You play through a level once and you get a medal, but each level actually has 3 medals, and the way you get those medals is by beating them multiple times. Whether that sounds like a grind or not to you depends on probably how much you like the gameplay. You slowly unlock characters. There are a load of characters in it, some of which I'm pretty sure are not in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I don't know because I haven't seen it, but I'll check here in a second. You do get loot. You get ISO 8 that you're able to power up your guy. Occasionally, if you get enough ISO 8, you can then combine it with other people or with multiple ISO 8 to make stronger ISO 8. You also get better weapons, and the better weapons you're able to equip on your guys so they attack harder or they, have better defense. And you go through several locations. You get so many medals, and then you unlock the new area. It's pretty good. And it feels like the old Battleheart. I remember after Battleheart came out, there was a lot of fake ones that came out that were just nowhere near as good or felt very like they were trying to extort money out of you. And this didn't feel that way at all. So I actually, again, I'm not done with it, but I would say that if you see this on a sale or if you're interested, it's worth checking out. I think it's $5. Is that right?
$2.99.
$2.99. Oh yeah, that's great. $2.99. Interesting game. You can play with all your favorite Guardians of the Galaxy heroes. There's nice little pieces of humor that have kind of become apparently are very much part of it. Like just now it said Groot moves slower than most. He's a tree. And it's just like, thanks. That was unclear, and you can get your Rocket Raccoon and your Star Lord and everyone else. Unfortunately, it looks like it just updated, and so it's downloading stuff. So I can't tell you what characters. I think Hulk just got released. I think they just updated, and now you can get Hulk. And I don't think Hulk is part of the movie. Is that correct?
That is correct. He is not in the movie.
So I'm like 99% sure that there are many characters that are not in the movie in this. But it's okay because it's still a fun game and it's in the Marvel Universe. So if you're interested, check it out. All right. Just taking a little pause there because I've been talking a long time. Next game. This one is called Micromon, and I think that you were going to put a news story about this, but I actually picked it up. It was 99 cents, and so I was like, hey, I'll check it out. There's this game is Pokemon. It's Pokemon on your iOS. It's the closest thing that has come. There's been many other games that have pretended to be Pokemon and have not been. This is much, much closer. There are, you travel around this world, you capture little Micromon, because that doesn't sound like Pokemon at all. And you capture them in these chips. You don't capture them in balls. And yeah, they over time will evolve and get better and get stronger. I think I've caught like 5 or 10. I haven't caught that many. So I'm still pretty early in this game. It's not as deep as Pokemon. There's not as many... Like in Pokemon, I think there's like 14 or 16 types now. 15. I think there's 15.
I have no clue.
Yeah, because I think there was 12, and then they added Rock and Steel, and then they just added Fairy. And yes, I am a Pokemon nerd. So I think there's 15, but in this one, I think there's like 8. There's not as many, like... You don't have to remember who's weak against what, and it's not quite as complex. It's interesting. I can't give a full review on it just because I haven't played it yet. It looks like there are a few microtransactions. Not sure how I feel about that yet because, like I said, I haven't played enough, and we'll see. So next one is Monsters Ate My Birthday Cake. Have you seen this one?
I have.
Oh, it's great. So, Monsters Ate My Birthday Cake is from, what's their name? Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. So, basically, you are a little boy in Monsters Ate My Birthday Cake, and you are trying to get back at the monsters who ate your birthday cake. Yes, that was obvious. But slowly you get these other monsters that will all have special abilities, and you're trying to collect the pieces of birthday cake out of each level by drawing lines and figuring out the puzzles. It's interesting. There's like special goals that will give you 3 stars on each level because, everything gives you 3 stars. And like the first one is just like find all the pieces of birthday cake, and then the next one's usually like collect all the coins, and then the last one's don't hurt the bad guys or do it under a certain amount of time or whatever. And you play through it. You switch between you and your monster friends that each have different powers. Like for example, you have one of the early guys you can dig, and one of the other guys is like a bat that does like a supersonic wave and holds people in place. It's really good. It's a fun little game. I can't say that I've beat it, so I'd like to play it more, which is great because if it makes me want to play it more, then usually it's pretty good. So that's Monsters Ate My Birthday Cake, which I think is abbreviated as like MAMBC, like MAMBC, which I always think looks funny for some reason. But it's pretty good. Have you checked this one out at all? Because it sounded like you might know something.
No, I saw it get released. It looked pretty similar to some other games that I've played. I usually like the Adult Swim games. They They're usually really fun. But yeah, no, not this one.
Yeah, this one like has kind of like a kiddie art style, but it's still I don't think a kid could ever achieve all the stars just because some of them are actually kind of difficult. So yeah, it's pretty good. I will play it more and hopefully report back. And finally, last one that I'm going to talk about today is Lionheart Tactics. So Lionheart Tactics has the interesting spot of it's one of the only games that after I've deleted, I've decided to give it a second try. So I played it for a little bit, and I felt like there was, well, basically what happened is I got to the point where you merge characters and like one character like absorbs another to become stronger. And I'm like, uh-oh, no, I don't like this because, they're trying to make it like a Final Fantasy Tactics type game. And the moment that you start absorbing characters, I don't like that. And you like randomly select a character, or you get a random character pack, and you're like, oh man, I got another archer. Well, I guess I'll just use him to absorb into one of my other guys.
Right.
And that just feels weird. The moment I start doing that, it feels like some of those card games that drive me nuts. I can't even think of some of them, like Puzzles and Dragons or something like that. And so I deleted it. However, it was getting enough buzz on 3 or 4 of the websites that I follow that I was like, okay, I will give it a try again. And so I reinstalled it, and I have been playing it pretty regularly. So it's kind of interesting in that it is kind of a Final Fantasy Tactics light game. There are several different classes. I think there's something like almost 20 classes now. Your guys cannot change class. And you level up to level 20, they max out, and then you have to find stones in order to get them to go to continue to progress and to get their base stats up. Occasionally you'll spend your money on new characters, and like I said, some of the new characters will be classes you don't have, so you'll want to keep them. Some of them may be classes that you don't mind having a second one of, and then sometimes you'll just get stuff that you don't need, like another archer. And then if you get those, you just kind of merge them into your other characters, and it's kind of like they have a potential value, and they have like the maximum they can get as a let's say a novice archer, because I think it goes recruit then novice. So they'll have like a maximum you can get as a novice archer, and you may be up to level 20, and you still have space that you could potentially increase your power. And the only way that you can do that is by absorbing other dudes. So that's interesting. It has like a timer that you earn money in your castle over time. I think that it has about a 4-hour, I think, is the maximum amount. And so your castle at first can only hold like $400 because, castles can't hold that much money or something. And then as you get farther and level up, it starts being able to hold more money. And then, every time you tap it, you get enough money that you're actually able to do something with it. Like maybe you go upgrade a guy or something. Money is everything. You get these crown things, but so far I haven't felt like it's pushed me to buy crowns, which are the premium currency. They are apparently introducing new characters fairly regularly, and when they have a new character, they will only you can only get it by using crowns at first, but eventually they put them into the normal packages, which is kind of a cool way to do it, and I'm all right with it. So it's like the guy will be exclusive for the first 2 or 3 weeks that they're a character, and then becomes available. I've been playing it for about 2 weeks. This one does have a situation where if you use the guys, they are permanently damaged and you have to wait. However, they recharge really fast. Like I think 7 minutes is about the highest, unless they actually die. And usually you build up enough of a team that you're working on that it doesn't really matter, because you leave one team home while you're fighting with the other one. Because you have 12 characters or something that you're juggling, and I think the most you can take on most battles is 6.
Okay.
And so you just kind of swap out which team you're using, and you're like, oh, well, they're hurt. I'll go use my other team, and I can go play again. So it's not it doesn't. It's nowhere near as bad as it sounds. It has a whole league play aspect where you can battle other people's best. I have only played through the first 2 or 3 ranks. That's interesting, but you don't really get that much for it, at least not yet. Eventually, you start getting some pretty cool rewards. And so far, I'm still not getting nearly as much money as I do by beating campaign stuff. And I know that probably at some point it'll be worth it. So I kind of try to play maybe 1 or 2 of those a day. I have not been attacked yet. I don't know if that's because people have slowed down on playing it, or maybe they don't tell you when you get attacked. I don't know what it is. I just haven't been attacked yet. So anyway, it's an interesting game, at least. It's surprising because, like I said, I gave up on this game once and I came back to it. So I do like it as kind of that light Final Fantasy Tactics like game on my iPod that I can play pretty quick. So that is what I have been playing.
Awesome.
What have you been playing, Lloyd?
Not as much as you. Holy crow, you've been playing everything. Absolutely everything. I've been playing a fair bit here and there, trying a bunch of games that I've downloaded. Nothing really that great. I've deleted more games off my iPad than I've probably done before ever. Just in downloading games that are cheap or free, play them, don't like them, delete them, keep on going down the list. But I've been playing a few of them. One I've just started playing today that I really, really, really like. It's called Star Wars Commander, and it was soft launched in Canada earlier, or maybe it was Australia, and it just came out for worldwide release. And apparently it's Clash of Clans with a Star Wars skin. I've never played Clash of Clans, so I can't really say that this is in fact what Clash of Clans is. All I can say is that I'm having a heck of a lot of fun with this one. So basically it's free with in-app purchases. You basically have a couple things you do. You're building base, and you're basically trying to protect your base, trying to flesh it out with the most amount of stuff. So you want to have as many things that are producing your alloys and your coins as you can. But then you also want to have some protection, because apparently you get attacked from time to time. And the attacks come from both player characters, so other people can attack you, or part of the missions that you're undertaking. There's a single player game, and some of the missions are you go somewhere and attack, or otherwise you get attacked on your base. So you're putting up a bunch of different types of turrets, you're putting up walls, you're trying to make it hard for people to come and attack you. So essentially, from what I understand, this is exactly what Clash of Clans is. Again, never played it, don't know for sure. I could be wrong. I don't think so, but that is a possibility. And that is essentially the game. But it's Star Wars. Like, your first mission, you do something for the Alliance, and then the next mission you do something for the for the Rebels, and then after you have to make a choice. Are you going to be a Rebel, or are you going to be an Imperial? If you're Imperial, you get access to things like ATSTs and ATATs, so you can summon an AT-AT when you're basically doing missions. If you're the Rebels, you can summon various spaceships to come in, land speeders, Han Solo, stuff like that. It has voices which sound pretty close to the originals in the movie. Darth Vader and Han Solo sound pretty spot on. And it's just Star Wars. As I said before, I've never played Clash of Clans, and apparently this is what exactly this is. So maybe this is kind of like a duh kind of thing, but I'm kind of really enjoying it. The one thing that kind of worries me is there's a currency in the game, crystals, and you're basically given 500 crystals when you start the game. So I thought that was like a small amount of crystals. Well, to buy 500 crystals is like $5. You could buy 2,500 for 20. So it's not cheap at all by any stretch of the imagination. you get crystals by completing missions, but it's not just one mission, it's like a whole chapter. So there could be 5 missions, there could be 6 missions, there could be 3 missions, who knows. And then you get a small tiny amount of crystals for completing them all perfectly. So if you screw up in one of them, say if you're doing an attack and you don't destroy all the buildings, well, you haven't gotten 100%, so you don't get the crystals for that mission or that chapter. So I'm still getting around that part. The ability not to only create a certain amount of people, so you can only have, say, 20 guys with you initially, and then maybe you can get more down the road. So there's all these little things that are tough for me to figure out, having not played Clash of Clans before, but I'm still really quite enjoying it. So if you're looking for a free-to-play game that might take some time to get through, but also one that will be one that will annoy you gently with the sound of R2-D2 whenever something happens in the game, this might be one for you to check out. Anyway, it's called Star Wars Commander. It's free to play, in-app purchases. Your mileage may obviously vary depending on how much you want stuff to happen, how quickly you want things to happen, because building some of the buildings, you're waiting 30 minutes, you're waiting 10 minutes, you're waiting hours, I'm sure, with some of the bigger buildings. So it could get into quite the grind, but as it is right now with what I see, I'm enjoying it. So check it out. Star Wars Commander. What else I've been playing? Also picked up a while ago, I talked about it on the last show, Blood Bowl, and I said I'd give it one more chance to see if it's something that I want to play. Gave it one more chance. Don't like it. Deleted it. Will not play it again. I'm really kind of sad because I really, really, really wanted to like this game, but unfortunately, it's just not in the cards for me. I've been playing Goddess, which is Peter Molyneux's game. I'm a fan of Peter Molyneux. I kickstarted Goddess. The game that I got on iOS is not what the Kickstarter was about. The Kickstarter was for a God game, for a guy like Peter Molyneux who came down on in-app purchases and games like Dungeon Keeper so hard to release a game like Goddess, which is timer-based, heavy in-app purchase focus. So premium currency is really what you need to do almost everything. Simple things like smoothing out the ground requires your gold in the game, and if you don't have enough gold, you can buy it with in-app currency, and you can spend $1 here and get this stuff. Really kind of disappointed. I really wanted to like this game. I kickstarted it. I don't ever want to play it again, which makes me really sad because the idea from the get-go was really, really, really exciting. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to give this one another chance, give it the benefit of the doubt. I just think it's crap to be 100% honest with you guys. It's not a fun game. And for someone, like I said, Peter Molyneux, who came so harshly down on Dungeon Keeper 2 for have a game that's riddled with in-app purchases and timers and basically forcing you to pay to play, just kind of made me really, really sad. Did you play it at all, Jared?
I have not played the mobile version of it. I played the version. I did not kickstart it, and then I picked it up at some point with on a sale or something on Steam.
Sure.
And it was kind of sad because I went like a month without being able to play a big game, and I finally got some time, and I was like, you know what, I want to go check out Goddess, and it was just so disappointing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's still in beta. They call it still early access, and it kind of surprises me that they're bringing out the iOS version, which people don't really ever expect an early access type thing on. There's not really a previous a beta access on iOS.
Yeah.
So if they're trying to do that, they just have to realize that the iOS market does not know how to deal with that. And I was not a fan. I thought it was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is disappointing. I guess the thing that should have worried me, and would cause me to warn others is when you start the game, like Goddess, there's a small section of time where you're downloading updates and things like that, and I wonder what those updates are, or who really knows what they really are. But the game itself is being basically published by DNA, so DENA. There's some of the worst people on the App Store for really egregious in-app purchases. So I don't know. I go back to the whole Peter Molyneux talking about how terrible it was for EA to do what they did, and then you come right out and release a game with the exact same garbage in it. It makes me really sad. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for them, people like it. On its ratings, it's for 4,500 ratings, it's averaging a 4-star rating on the App Store. So I guess other people don't hate it as much as I dislike it, but yeah, it just seems really weird. I don't know. I don't know what to think. But anyway, that's Goddess. I honestly don't know if I'll be playing it anymore. It's not what I wanted, which is really disappointing since I kicked in like $60 or whatever it was in Kickstarter to get all the stuff, and none of it is in this game, and it really isn't what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Kickstarter has lost a bit of its luster. Mm-hmm. If you do have and this one fits this, if you have like a development team that you've heard of, and you would think that this one would fit in there with Peter Molyneux behind it, but you just start to wonder if maybe it's gotten overblown. I know that I have consciously been trying to back less Kickstarters, and maybe I'm just one person, but it seems like people are starting to wise up a bit to Kickstarter.
Yep, exactly. Cool. The other game that I've been playing a fair bit of is Guardians of the Galaxy. I really dig it. I only played it because I love the movie so much. It has to be my favorite movie I've seen in a couple years. It was just so well done. Great. I'm a comic book geek. I'm a Marvel geek. It was just kind of the best the best of both worlds. And the game itself, not as good as I would hope, but it still is kind of fun, and it's cool to see like little super deformed Star-Lord and super deformed Groot and super deformed Gamora come on and rip people apart and have fun while doing it. It's one of those games where I pop in from time to time. I'm not being like super crazy about finishing it, but if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, the best part about this game is there's really no in-app purchases. Like, you get the game, and that's the game. You're not paying for credits and crystals and all that other stuff. You basically get to play the game as much as you want to play the game, and I dig that. Even though I think when I bought it was $5, it's now $3. Definitely worth the money if you want to play a game that is Battleheart-like with a different theme on it.
Yeah, again, original Battleheart. And yep. I'm surprised you didn't talk up when I was talking about it. But yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, there's definitely, I went and looked it up, there's definitely characters that are not part of the game. Yeah, definitely. So, which is fine.
Yeah, it's...
And there's also no internet connection required, which... Unfortunately, a lot of the games that I've been playing lately require internet connection, which is kind of frustrating. Like, because sometimes you just don't get. I don't connect to the internet on my iPod, and then I can't play it. So
it's weird that that's a requirement for some of the games. I just don't understand that, but that's the way it is. Cool. True. All right, let's move on. Let's get into the rest of the show. Got a couple news items before we close it out for today. Flappy Bird, the next game from the developer, Dong Nguyen, is called Swing Copters, and it is basically exactly what it sounds like. You're a bird with a helicopter on his head, essentially, and you're trying to get past the levels by tapping the screen. Very Flappy Bird like. You're wanting to tap to go up and to change direction, and you have to keep changing direction left and right to go up the level. And instead of going left and right with pipes, you're going up and down, or I guess just up, with girders and little things that are basically flowing back and forth on the girders. So essentially Flappy Bird. Not something that's exciting me. I'm not going to download it, even though it's free with a 99-cent ad unlock. But I'm sure this is all people are going to be talking about for the next little while.
Did you see? I think it was just on the Android store, but there may have been. But there was like already 25 knockoffs within the first 24 hours.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, all right. That's as much as we need to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make a game and release it on the App Store that can get knocked off by a bunch of different people in like no time, it's not that advanced of a game, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, moving on. A couple big iOS announcements. It was announced this week that the Pokemon trading card game, which is an online version of the card game, will be coming to iOS. It's not Pokemon. You're not going to be playing Pokemon X or Y or even Gold or Yellow or Silver or Emerald or all the other multitude of colors and versions of Pokemon. But it is a really well done version of the trading card game that you could play online. And it will be coming to iOS in the near future, being released by the Pokemon Company Incorporated. So, Jared, I know you're a Pokemon maniac. So, are you excited about this? Did you play the card game at all?
So I played this card game a lot when I was little. I participated in the tournaments in probably the first 2 versions. There's been a lot more versions than that since. And I do not actively play it. I tend to avoid anything that is a CCG, a collectible card game.
Sure.
Primarily because they are money pits.
Oh, big time.
And I try to avoid money pits. But, you hear about people spending $80 on like a mid-grade deck and, $300 if it's a really good deck. And it's just, that's too much. I'm not interested in paying that much. So anything really that is a CCG, I tend to avoid. I did play the original Pokemon trading card game on, what was that, Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color? It was a long time ago.
Game Boy Color, yep.
Yeah, so I remember playing that one. I really liked it because you would actually, all the cards were there. But, I've heard about this one. There's a lot of microtransactions in it. Or you can get a deck or a package of cards in the online version whenever you buy a package of real cards. And I'm not interested in doing that. Money pit. So
yeah, I hope there's a robust single-player campaign. Like, I hope you can play against the CPU just similar to what you did in the Game Boy Color version. Mainly because I'm trying to learn how to play the game so I can play with my kids who are obsessed over it. They don't really play the game, but they're obsessed over the cards. It'd be really cool to have another way to play with them that doesn't involve me going to Target and buying $40 worth of cardboard. That is probably worth about 12 cents at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I think that in order to get more cards in the online version, you have to buy either real packs or you have to give them money.
Yeah, it's going to be like the Magic the Gathering online, but I'm hoping that there's some sort of like larger tutorial mode that is maybe a single player campaign. I hope, but I kind of doubt that's likely, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily interested. I think it's a very interesting thing for Pokemon to do, the Pokemon Company. I think that it's kind of a little bit indicative that maybe Nintendo is willing to try some new things. Yeah. I don't really understand the relationship between Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. I thought they were like wholly owned or something.
They're different companies, but they're not, and they can do stuff that they want, but Nintendo can stop them sometimes, but not all the times, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. So it's an interesting move, and I'll be interested to see how it does. I probably personally will not be playing it, but hey, I look forward to great games. I like to see on every platform
Yep.
because it means it's a robust system, right?
Exactly. Cool. All right, let's move on to our last story of the day. This one's actually kind of really exciting, even though I've kind of sworn myself off at Skylanders. It was announced last week. Well, I was on vacation. My phone blew up with a couple friends that texted me that Activision is coming out with a version of Skylanders Trap Team, which is the next version of Skylanders. It's going to be on Xbox One. It's going to be on PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii U, Wii. I think it's one of the last Wii games, actually, that's going to be shipping. It is now also coming to mobile. So they're calling it Skylanders Trap Team for mobile. And essentially what it is it's the full game. So if you bought the PS4 version, this is the exact same version of that game. You're going to go to the store. You're going to pay $75 for the starter pack, just like you would on any other console. It's going to come with a base, just like all the other versions do. The base also works as a tablet holder. It's going to have a slot where you can kind of slide your tablet into it, so it keeps your tablet kind of standing up so you can play the game. It's going to come with a Bluetooth LE controller, and it's going to come with a copy of the game in the way of a promo code that you can, or actually I don't even think you need a promo code because it's a free game. So you'll be able to download Skylanders Trap Team for free, which gets you just a little bit of gameplay. But to do anything else, you're actually going to need to buy the starter pack. So essentially, day and date with the consoles, you're getting a AAA game that is going to be coming out. My only complaint with this is for $75, you get the game, the portal, and a controller, which is pretty good considering that on all the other consoles, $75 just gets you the game and the portal and the figures, of course, because they all come with the same figures. This one comes with a controller. Unfortunately, the controller is totally proprietary. You can't use it for any other game, and you can't use any other controller with this game. So what I'd love to do is go out and buy like one of the really good MFI controllers for iPad and then buy this and then use that controller for that so that I can close this app and start something else and play it. That's not in the cards. Basically, to do that with this one, you're going to be using the built-in controller or the bundled-in controller, and that is that. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be playing it, and if you want to play another game that has another controller, you're putting this controller away, grabbing another one out, and playing those games as well. So pretty cool that it's a new standalone AAA title that's going to be shipping day and date with the rest of the versions. Maybe that's a sign of things to come. But yeah, that's it. The other thing about this, which is kind of weird, it's going to take about like 7 gigs on your iPad. So the first download is 2 gigs. Or, sorry, under 2 gigs, because that's the limit for the App Store. A game can't be bigger than 2 gigs. But as you start it, it's going to start downloading other content. So you put a new character on it. Say if you have like a character, say if you have, Popthorn from the last game. You drop it on there. It's going to go online. It's going to download a bunch of assets, and then you can use that character in the game. So it's not like you're going to be dropping characters on every couple seconds. It's going to, if you don't have it on your device, it's going to have to download that content. And if you're like me, who's already going through major space crises with my iPad, I'm not going to be able to have this game installed, even if I wanted to. If I wanted to play it, it's just too big. So hopefully the next version of the iPad storage is cheaper. So 64 is the smallest maybe, because if these are the types of games that are coming out, you're really going to need that space going forward. So Jared, I chatted a lot about this. What are your thoughts on Skylanders Trap Team?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous to have a controller that's only good for one game. So I agree with you. I was like, oh, that's a good value because you're getting a controller along with everything else that's in the other starter packs. But yeah, only being able to use it for one game, it's like, that's not fun. Why do I want a piece of plastic for one game? Second, I think it's excellent for the sign of things to come because it means that, you know, big console developers are seeing iPad as another option. And, you know, I'm sure that with AirPlay, this actually could be not maybe, it might not look as good as a PS4 version, but it doesn't matter for those people who don't have a PS4 because this allows them to play the game. And I'm sure they'd look great. And I guess my third thought is just what you're talking about, space. 7 gigs is a lot. I mean, if you're on one of the 16 gig things, you know, you're like, oh, there goes half of my space because, you know, there's already a couple gig taken up with your memory. I'm constantly having space issues. I'm constantly having to figure out what game I'm going to delete so that I can get something new and shiny and that I want to play. And 7 gig, it's cool because it kind of shows how the evolution of gaming on the iPad has come, right? Because, you know, it's unheard of. I remember everyone was talking and whining about how big Infinity Blade was, and it was like 2.1 gig was the last one. The first one was like 1.1.
Yep.
And they were talking about how big it was then, and so now it's like 7 gig. It's like, yeah, you've got to have more space, and in order to get more space right now, it's pricey according to the way that Apple prices it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that the iPad that I have is a 64 gig. But I only have that one because it was the only one available to me when I went to purchase it at the store.
That's like my last one. That was my last one. I wanted a 32, could only find a 64. I got that. My current iPad that I use is a 32, and it is always floating around a gig and a bit. And once you get to around a gig on that model of the iPad, it basically slows down to nothing. Like it's useless. So I need to get a bigger iPad. So my ideal one would be like a mini with 128 gigs of RAM or of storage, and it'd be like, this would be the best thing ever, but it would also cost me as much as a computer. So probably not going to be getting anything like that in the near future.
Yeah, I'm kind of considering upgrading right now, and I'm like, well, I don't want to pay for the extra storage, so I really hope that at some point Apple reduces a little bit the pricing on that storage just to enable some of these bigger games.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, exactly. Awesome. Cool. Yep. Well, that's going to about do it for the story. I was just finishing typing a message when you finished talking, so I had to finish typing, and you were not talking, so there was no talking, just some typing. Hopefully it wasn't too long for all you guys out there. That's going to about do it for this episode. We're running at an hour already with all the stuff we've been talking about, so no time for reviews. Jared, thanks, my friend, for coming out and doing yet another show with me.
Good chatting with you, Lloyd. I missed you.
Yeah, well, you didn't miss me too much. I mean, planning mutinies and all that stuff, but
that's nobody joined me. Don't worry about it.
It's a very small mutiny.
It was just, you know, it's like the ship's cook. It was like, hey, I don't want to work for you anymore, and you're just like, get back in the kitchen.
I'm gonna just undercook all the beef now. That's what I'm gonna be doing.
Well, I mean, you know, small mutiny. I have to do what I can, right?
Awesome. All right, well, everybody, thanks for tuning in and subscribing. Let us know what you think of the show. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and let us know that way by clicking contact us at the top or leave a voicemail on the side. You can email us at vgpodcast@gmail.com or call our voicemail line at 505-VG-PODCAST. Jared, thanks again for joining me. Again, for the second time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Pleasure. Talk to you later.
Jared, the show is terrible. I was going to say.
It was pretty horrible.
Just before we started the show, Jared was talking about all that stuff. I'm going to break Lloyd. He's not going to be the happy Canadian. He's going to say the show sucked. He's going to complain the whole time. You didn't break me yet, but
I tried.
Just keep working on it. Keep working on it. Maybe it'll get there.
All right, take care.
All right, take it easy, everybody. We'll talk to you in about a week's time. Go enjoy all those games on your iOS device of choice.